to Jay-Z and can do no wrong. She farts social justice rainbows. But Beyonce is considered this wildly talented, massive talent, just a joy to behold, a real addition to God's earth. Okay, Beyonce actually has a really good voice, or used to. I don't know if it's good anymore because she hasn't sung in 5 years. So Beyonce now has been relegated to shaking her boobs, shaking her ass, and racial commentary. That's basically what her stunt is now. Ever since she married Jay-Z, who, by the way, is a jerk also. Jay-Z wears a medallion called for what is called the 5% Nation. The 5% Nation believes that black people are superior to white people. And that's their actual literal belief. And so Beyonce does her halftime show. Now, I'm going to watch a little bit of the Beyonce halftime show. First of all, I want to point out, everybody who says Beyonce is a magnificent dancer, no, she just looks like her ass is having a seizure. But she says that everybody who acts like, this is not a stare, okay? This is not Gene Kelly. Let's stop her. She's not, a Russian ballet dancer. She's a lady who's twerking. She's like one step above Miley Cyrus. But putting aside the artistic commentary here, because her music, like lately her music is garbage also. So her dancing is basically just how much can she jiggle, and her music is how much can she get away with. Here was what happened at the Beyonce halftime show. Let's play it. First of all, I don't know why Joe Pesci is there. What great dancing. You just might be a black Bill Gates in the making. Alabama, I'm a Louisiana. You mix that Negro with that Creole, make a Texas Bama. I like my baby hair with baby hair and afro. I like my Negro nose with Texas cotton. Okay, so we don't have to watch the rest of this. You get the idea. The women who are dancing behind her, you can freeze frame it. They're all wearing Black Panthers outfits. They're wearing the Black Panthers berets. They all have their hairs their hair froed out. There are no white women in this entourage. They're all black, right? There are zero white. Remember Oscars So Black? Beyonce halftime, or Oscars So White? Beyonce halftime show So Black, right? There are no white people in this. And at a certain point here, they actually form an X on the field, like Malcolm X, right? Is the idea here, and later, all the women took a picture. Somewhere in here, they all go like this. They give the Black Power salute. And later on, they give a Black Power salute again. And her mom shows up to give the Black Power salute. The lyrics that she's saying, in case you can't understand what she's saying, because why would you? The lyrics to her song go like this. My daddy, Alabama, mama, Louisiana. You mix that Negro with that Creole, make a Texas Bama. I like my baby hair with baby hair and afros. I like my Negro nose with Jackson 5 nostrils. Okay, so you've got a bunch of racial stereotypes. I didn't realize that Negro was back in style, but I guess that you can get away with that if you're Beyonce. And then the rest of the song goes like this. I did not come to play with you hoes, haha. I came to slay, bitch. I like cornbreads and collard greens, bitch. El Camino with the seat low. Sippin' Cuervo with no chaser. Sometimes I go off, I go off, I go hard, I go hard. When he F me good, I take his ass to Red Lobster, 'cause I slay. If he hit it right, I might take him on a flight on my chopper, 'cause I slay. You might just be a black Bill Gates in the making, 'cause I slay. Okay, so if there is a smart black kid who goes to school, is highly educated, and creates a massive company, it's because of Beyonce. Yeah, right. Also, there's nothing I like better than a bunch of anti-black stereotypes being put out there by black people. That's always great. I'm sorry, but if a white person said about a bunch of black people that what makes you black is that when you get screwed good, you take your ass to Red Lobster, everybody would realize just how racist and terrible that is. But Beyonce gets to say it because the rules don't apply. And again, the Black Panthers were a terrorist group, okay? If you had a white terrorist group that were being honored, a bunch of people in white sheets out there in the middle of the Super Bowl, everybody would realize how disgusting this is. By the way, Cosmopolitan calls this garbage piece of non-music the most perfect song since the Paleozoic era. Somebody should note to them the Paleozoic era was not really it's not respected for its tunefulness, the Paleozoic era. But the music video for this is even worse. I mean, if you actually look at the music video that this is based on, in the music video, there's a line of white cops standing by as a black teenager walks up to them, and then there's a wall with graffiti that says, "Stop shooting us." Let me ask you, if she really thinks that this is going to make any black kid in America better off, what black kid in America is better off because of this? What black kid isn't going to get shot in the inner city because of this? What black kid is going to get an education because of this? She's just making millions off of a stereotypical depiction of a really negative and nasty culture. Malcolm X was a pig. Okay, Malcolm X, until he had his Islamic revelation at the end of his life and realized basically everything he'd been saying was wrong, Malcolm X was a garbage heap of humanity. He was a bad guy, Malcolm X. Martin Luther King at least promoted good things. He had his own personal foibles, but he promoted good things. Malcolm X is the guy who used to call white people white devils. And so paying homage to him during the Super Bowl, right? This is the most watched event in America every year. This is where we have come racially. The post-racial era isn't the post-racial era, it's the post-decency era, and Beyonce leads the way. But it wasn't just that. There were some Super Bowl...
is not a driving factor in income inequality.
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't... And when... You know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder. Explain to me why the number of black kids in prison, not for innocent reasons, not for walking down the street and getting pulled into a prison, is so high. Explain, if it has nothing to do with culture, explain to me why the single motherhood rate in the black community jumped from 20% to 70% in the same course of time that the civil rights movement has made such tremendous strides. Is America more racist now than it was in 1960? And if it is, please explain to me how that happened.
I look at the Baltimore uprisings, and it's more than just riots, right? I hate the idea when you say thugs and riots, right? White people riot as well. When y'all win Super Bowls 2 years in a row, y'all get off the hook. Don't make it seem like it's just Baltimore getting upset.
I'm offended by the language of uprising applied to people who are breaking into other black people's stores and looting them. This is a lack of values, and people who are destroying private property, destroying cop cars, in an uprising against what exactly? Against the black police chief, against a mostly minority police force, against the black mayor, against the black president, against the black attorney general, against against a city council that is 9 of 15 are black and all 15 are elected Democrats. What is the uprising against? What is it seeking to achieve? I still don't see what exactly the riots are seeking to achieve. Bottom line is, this is all... It all could be boiled down to just act like a mensch. Act like a human being. Honestly, it's not useful to riot, it's not useful to break things, it's not useful to throw rocks at people. And the idea that we're supposed to sort of correlate your level of outrage...
I'm going to stick to the 30 seconds on this.
The last sentence. The idea that we're supposed to correlate your level of outrage with a certain level of justification. In other words, the more outraged you are and the more angry you are, the more justified you must be, is absolute nonsense.
Is there a line that you draw for yourself, or is there some way that you interpret statistical disparity and you determine that that is not a racial disparity, it's something else?
It's called evidence of racism. When there is no evidence of racism, it's probably not racism. When there is actual evidence of racism, it's probably racism. And the fact that everybody jumps from there's inequality and therefore there is inequity, just because there's inequality does not mean there was inequity.
But there has to be racism. You can't say there's no racism.
Without evidence?
No. I'm just saying that I don't know which animal. Maybe we're talking about dogs or something. I'm talking about human beings, and I'm like, human beings are most likely going to have racial prejudices. I'm just so sorry. I'm just so sorry. I don't know. I come from planet.
I hate. So with all that implies. Things I like, I'm in the middle of a movie called Black Mass with Johnny Depp. Haven't seen the rest of it yet. About halfway through. So far, so good. All right, things I hate. All right, so I watched the Super Bowl yesterday. My dad and I usually get together every year and watch the Super Bowl. And so all I want when I watch the Super Bowl is to watch the football. You know, I watch the commercials because this has become sort of a cultural totem. It's become a cultural hallmark. Everybody wants to watch the commercials. And that's fine, that's great, except I have to say the commercials have been steadily in my lifetime getting worse and worse. I mean, the commercials are basically all just sex jokes and monkeys and pets. It's like, ooh, people like monkeys. Let's put that in a commercial. Well, what about babies? People like babies too. Let's put that in. How about we'll have a monkey baby dog, which they actually did in a commercial yesterday. So the commercials were really quite terrible. But what I really, really hate is that the left has decided that every cultural event has to now be dominated by leftism. All of them. They have to be dominated by leftism. So imagine, for example, that you had a Super Bowl and it took place in Texas, and there was a country singer, and the country singer surrounded himself during the Super Bowl halftime show with a bunch of kids who are holding Bibles and a bunch of women who are holding crosses. Imagine if we did that. And let's say that, for example, there's a bunch of white people and they're also twirling rifles, right? Like we do sometimes at parades. Do you think that the media would have a field day with that? Oh, you bet the media would have a field day. So